everyone, so today I wanted to go over my Reading Rush TBR. The Reading Rush is happening next week, the week of July 20th through the 26th. If you don't know what the Reading Rush is, it's basically a week where you have to read as much as possible. It's put on by Raylene and Ariel, and with the Reading Rush, they give you 7 challenges that you have the option to complete. You don't have to, but you basically try to pick books that fit within the challenge guidelines. So basically they gave out 7 challenges. I personally don't think I'm able to read 7 books in a week. That's just not feasible for me. So I'm going to be reading 2 audiobooks and 2 physical books during the Reading Rush. And this video, I'm basically just going to tell you what books I'm going to be reading and the prompts that go along with it. If you want to look at the original video where they announce all the challenges, I'm going to be linking that below, as well as the 7 challenges that you have to or have an option of completing during the Reading Rush. So without further ado, let's get into what I'm going to be reading next week. So the first challenge is read a book with a cover that matches the color of your birthstone. My birthday is in March, so my birthstone is aquamarine, which is a light blue. I'm not gonna lie, I was actually having difficulty finding a book that was already on my TBR that was a light blue cover. I actually had been reading a lot of books with that color on the cover, but I decided to take the challenge in the literal sense, and I picked The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison, as it has blue in the actual title of the book, and also the script is in blue. This is also going to be for the challenge read the first book you touch. Since I don't have like a ton of books that I can just like close my eyes and touch and pick one to read, I decided to pick this book, as this will be the first book that I have touched from my library, if it actually comes in on time, in like 4 months. So I'm really excited for that, just praying that I actually get it. But if you don't know what The Bluest Eye is about, it is about this African-American girl who lives in Ohio in the 1940s who wishes that she has blonde hair and blue-eyed features so that she can fit in with other American children. Not gonna lie, I'm honestly pretty nervous about reading this book just because I've heard it's really heavy and addresses really tough topics, but it's a book that I've been thinking about reading for a month or so now, and I think I just might do it during the Reading Rush, but I'm excited to share with you my thoughts and experience as I read this book. So the next book that I'm planning on reading is The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. I actually read With the Fire and High by her, and I know this is like kind of a controversial opinion, but I didn't love that book, but I have heard really good things about this book, and I felt like it would be a really great audiobook to listen to. I'm going to be using this for the challenge. Read a book that starts with the word the, which also The Bluest Eye could work for that too. Also, this is the book that I'm going to be reading completely outside of my house, as I'm going to be listening to it via audio, and it is also for the challenge, read a book in a genre that you've always wanted to read more of. I challenged myself to read 3 poetry books this year, and I have read 0. So I'm really excited to read The Poet X, because I believe this whole book is written in verse, and it's about this young girl in Harlem who discovers slam poetry, and I believe the entire book is told in slam poetry, and I thought that that'd be a really cool book to listen to via audio as I'm just like walking around the city. So that is the book that I decided to choose for those 3 challenges. The next challenge is actually a challenge that I really love, which is to read a book set on a different continent. I really love this challenge because I feel like it just pushes you to move outside your comfort zone, as the majority of the books that I read take place in the United States or in North America. But I decided to challenge myself a little bit further and not pick Europe as the continent, because I also do read a lot of books that are set in Europe, especially classics. A lot of them are set in England. So I decided to pick Homegoing, as at least part of the story is set in Ghana, which is in Africa. So I'm just gonna read to you what the description is of the book, but it's in Ghana in the 18th century, 2 half-sisters are born into different villages, each unaware of the other. One will marry an Englishman and lead a life of comfort in the palatial rooms of the Cape Coast castle. The other will be captured in a raid on her village, imprisoned in the very same castle, and sold into slavery. I do believe that this book is cross-generational, so I don't know if it switches back and forth in time or just you go along the journey between one generation to another. I know that part of the book I think is going to take place in America, but just because part of it does take place in Africa, I decided that it definitely counts for this challenge. This is a book that has rave reviews, and I've been really excited to read this book. This is another book that I'm going to read physically. I'm actually going to borrow it from one of my friends, which is why I don't currently have that book in my possession right now. So the next challenge is read a book that inspired a movie you've already seen. I've thought long and hard about this challenge, and I honestly could not think of one book that I wanted to read that fit this prompt. A lot of books that I've recently read are movies that I actually have been watching because I already read the book. But a lot of the movies that I've seen recently that have a book, I honestly just like don't want to read them, and I don't know, I just like couldn't think of anything. So I decided to actually pick Such a Fun Age because it's the group reading pick, I believe, and there's going to be a like live show for this book. I don't think this is a book that I'm actually going to be able to finish in the course of the week. I'm going to be listening to this via audio. But basically, Such a Fun Age is about this African-American girl who's 25, and she's the nanny for, sorry for all the sirens, but she's a nanny for this white family, and one day she's at the grocery store with the little boy, and someone accuses her of kidnapping the child. I'm actually really curious to read this book just because I'm currently 25, and I think it's interesting to read a book with someone who is the same age as me. So I'm pretty excited to read this book. I'm hoping that I like it, but I'm also a little worried because it is a book that has a lot of hype around it. So usually I don't love books with a lot of hype, but maybe this book will prove me wrong. As I said, I don't think this book I'll be able to finish during the reading rush, but you never know, it might actually happen. We'll see. I haven't had the best reading month of my life so far, so it's been kind of bad, I'm not gonna lie. So I'm really hoping that I like one or two or all of these books. But thanks so much for being here till the end of the video. I'm actually planning on doing a reading vlog for all of these books during the reading rush week, and then I'll post it the week after, so make sure to look out for that. If you've made it this far in the video, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in my next one.